are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by Prize Picks. How we doing, everybody? It's week 7, the big show. We're about to go position by position, per usual, for the DraftKings slate. Probably my favorite slate of the entire year, and I don't normally say that. I think there's a lot of really good spots for tournaments. We got some weather to talk about. So we'll build the lineup at the end. Hope everyone is doing well in the chat. Hope everyone had a really good week 6. Had a few people mentioned that we should show the lineup from the week before that we built on stream. So nothing crazy last week. We did cash. This is just the lineup that we built that I threw into the Millie Maker. Rico Dowdle, of course, the massive chalk. We got kind of buried a little bit by the Agbuka chalk when he gets injured. A couple really nice plays at lower ownership. We got George Pickens at sub 10% for 34. That was a pretty nice hit. And I think just in general, we did a really good job of building like a really unique stack around basically some of the best chalk pieces of the entire week. Didn't get completely rewarded here, but anytime we can cash in DraftKings tournaments, we feel good about it. But how's everyone else feeling? Do you guys like this slate as much as I do? I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Bunch of names in the chat here very early, which I always think is awesome. Joe Milk's in here. What's up, my man? Mr. J's in here. He says he's here for this. We're here for you, my man. Casey Bones in here. What's up, man? Ryan, Goodfella, Corey Nelson, Salt River Hillbillies. What's up, my friend? Luke's in here. What's up, Luke? Derek's in here. How we doing, Derek? How we doing? Catcher AD. What's up, bro? Aiden. How we doing, Aiden? Jeremy's in here. Rafa. Who else? Who else? Hat on backward. Some familiar faces. And by faces, I mean names, I suppose. How we doing? We jamming slowly. Yes, all the slow jams. All the slow jams. Rafa, thank you for your super chat, my man. Who do I start at wide receiver 2? Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams, or Nico Collins? You got to choose one of those guys? That's rough. That's rough. I mean, great for you, but rough. Let me check because I want to see where I have those guys ranked in particular to make sure that I give you a good answer. That $10 super chat, my man. Appreciate you. You got to start one of those guys? One of those guys. Crazy. Yeah. Let's see where I got them. So most of the time, my rankings are in the Fantasy Accelerator, of course, but that's a hard one, my man. Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is about to play in this early game too, so you got to make this decision fast. I honestly think if you're just ranking these guys start to finish, Devontae Adams I have extremely high in this matchup with no Puka Nacua. Jacksonville really struggles to defend wide receivers on the outside. They've given up a lot of touchdowns. He's also basically getting like over 50% of their red zone targets and their end zone targets. So yeah, I mean, I think Devontae, if you're deciding between those guys, I mean, really good problem to have. Rashee Rice, I have 2 spots ahead of Nico Collins. So I would go Devontae, Rashee, then Nico for me. So hopefully that helps. I assume we're talking full PPR there. That's where I would be on those ones. Tight end, Ferguson, Kittle, Warren. And then we'll get into some DraftKings stuff. But this is a $10 super chat. So we got to make sure that Rafa gets his answers here. I have Warren ahead of all of those guys. Warren, Kittle, and then Ferguson for me. Cool. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? What's popping? We'll get to it, Elvis. We'll get to it. Let's win one. Yeah, I would love to win one. That'd be great. How about my boy Flacco on Thursday? One of the more entertaining Thursday night football games I think we've had in a while, too. I'm with you. No problem, Rafa. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. I am going to try and keep the start sits to a minimum. This is going to be a DraftKings show. But let's start with, like we always do, with a poll. Who's going to be this week's highest owned player? If you're here for the first time, hit that subscribe button. That's the only way I can fight against the bots in the chat. And in order to place your vote, you do have to be a subscriber on the channel for it to work. CD Lamb, Rashee Rice, Quinshawn Judkins, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, or other. Who's going to be the highest owned player today? In order to place your vote, exclamation point, vote, space the number. If you do anything else, it will not work. So there will be plenty of people in the chat doing it correctly. Follow their lead. Weather feels overplayed today, possibly. This would not be the first slate where weather was not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. I will say that this Miami and Cleveland game looks pretty scary, right? Like anytime you see like 30 mile per hour gusts, over 30 mile per hour gusts, there's a little bit of rain involved as well. It's like that combination of like a little bit of rain and crazy wind Yeah, we'll see. The Judkins stuff is interesting though, which we'll get into. We have time. We don't need to be in a rush. You guys are always in such a rush. Can we do both Achane and Judkins in the rain wind? Achane's an interesting one. I haven't heard anyone really talk about playing Achane today. That's a good way to get some leverage, probably. He might be one of the best leverage options on the entire slate if you feel that way. But 8,100 for a player in that game, definitely tougher, right? Quinton Judkins is 6K, right? A little different. Rashee Rice leading the way so far in the poll for highest owned player. No one's scared about a player coming back from suspension. He's going to get in there right away and dominate. I think I agree with you guys. I made a pretty big season long trade in like my most important league this week, actually. Before I tell you guys what side, actually, I could run a poll, but let's keep this poll running. I won't even tell you which side I'm on. So I'll just tell you the players involved. And I'm going to make sure I show this. This is a prize pick show, so I can't show it on stream. But I'm going to make sure that I get this correct. So this was a 2-for-4 trade. One team has a winning record. One team does not have a winning record by a decent margin. So first side of the trade, Christian McCaffrey, Rashee Rice. Second side of the trade, Ashton Genty, Xavier Worthy, Chris Olave, Juwan Jennings. Who wins that deal? A 4-for-2. McCaffrey, Rice, Genty, Worthy, Olave, Jennings. That's a haul. 4-for-2. Who wins that side? What's up, Derek? How's it going, my man? Appreciate you joining the Hulkamaniacs in chat. Who wins that side? Which side wins of the 2-for-4? I'll say this. Any trade calculator you're looking at, if you're looking at my rest of season rankings, you'll see like different point values basically for these players. This is a very even trade. So I don't care what anyone says in the chat. Jeremy says he'd take the Genty side. CMC Rice as long as CMC stays healthy, of course. A lot of CMC side in the chat. Johnny likes the 4-player side. Again, McCaffrey, Rice for Genty, Worthy, Olave, and Juwan Jennings. Depends on the rest of the team. It always depends on the context. Genty side for 3 up, 3 down. Okay, we'll get into some normal DraftKings stuff. I just wanted to talk about this trade because I thought it was kind of interesting. I usually get kind of a split when I talk about it. So shout out to me. I'm 5-1 in this league. So I'm looking to unload some depth for some studs. So I got the McCaffrey and Rashee Rice side. Pretty pumped about that. My other running backs, very solid. Achane on this team. My wide receivers, I have an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver. So this team still has Jackson Smith and Jigba. This team still has Ted McMillan. This team still has Emeka Egbuka. So we were in a pretty good spot to unload some of these wide receivers and upgrade to a Rashee Rice, who I obviously love rest of season, and upgrade Genty for Christian McCaffrey. I like that. Giving up the 4-player side. That's my style. I like to make those like 3-for-1, 4-for-2 deals, especially if you have a team that's 5-1, 6-0, I hope. 4-2. If you're in a good spot to make the playoffs, this is the time of the year where I'm unloading some depth. There's some season-long alpha for you guys. Colluding. Yes. Lots of collusion. Not a dynasty league, no. 12-team PPR. Pretty standard. 1 extra flex, though. My most important league, I got that deal done. It felt good. The team that I traded with, though, honestly, I think it was one of those deals that it helped both teams. They were 1-5 on the other side of it, right? So they need wins. They need starters. It sucks because they've been waiting for Rashee Rice the whole season. They drafted him, but they need wins. Derek Kohler, Waddle, no Hill, Pickens with CD back season long. Yeah, I have George Pickens ahead by a decent margin, my man. Hopefully that helps. Thank you for that super chat, Derek. Noel fan, how we doing, my man? Thank you for your super chat. Let's do this. Way too much season-long talk to start. I thought that was a fun trade to go through, though. I was curious your guys' side on it. Rashee Rice, highest owned player today. Yeah, I think I agree with the caveat that, I mean, I guess maybe I don't agree. I think Quinton Judkins will be higher owned than Rashee Rice. I think those are the two guys, though. People love the narrative with the wind. I'll say this about Quinshon Judkins. I mean, maybe I don't really say this very often. I think you should play him on all your teams or none of your teams. You should take a stand there. Really low total. There's ways that it can go wrong, right? Really low total. And then there's ways he can absolutely bury you, like a Derrick Henry scenario, right? Where he gets 2 touchdowns. You need him to score twice, probably, for him to completely bury you. If he scores once, you're probably okay on that fade. Damn near lock button. Yeah, I think you go either way. Let's go to quarterback, though, because we got to talk through some pretty decent stacking opportunities here. Like I said, I think this is one of my favorite weeks of the entire year so far because there's really nice opportunities to go after a few individual games, but there's actually some nice spins you can put on some of these pieces around the chalk as well, which I really like. But let's start at quarterback. Top quarterback play today: Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams, or other. Who do you guys think's the top quarterback play today, price considered on DraftKings? What are we thinking here? What are we thinking here? Wit, you know me too well, Wit. Polka, definitely the 4-player side. Yes, you know me too well. I had to flex my 5-1 team in my most important league. If we're not giving a flex, like, come on, what are we doing here? I got plenty of teams that are not 5-1 as well, just like you guys. I definitely don't get it all right. Never thought I'd pick Dak. Dak was one of my guys this year. That's one that feels good. I got plenty wrong. Chase Brown people, I'm so sorry. Um, the Dak stuff was pretty good. Dak, honestly, the only quarterbacks I really talked about all offseason were Dak and Drake May. Shout out to me. Maybe a little bit of JJ McCarthy. So sorry to the JJ McCarthy people out there, but he got hurt. Come on. What's the vibe with the Commanders wide receiver being out? Yeah, we'll talk about Commanders wide receivers. We'll get there, my man. We're at quarterback right now. No Daniel Jones love in the chat. I think I like that game way more than you guys. And we just started. We have 1 vote for Justin Herbert, 0 votes for Daniel Jones. You know the Colts have scored more points than anyone this year, right? You know that's still a massive total, even though we have this like other massive total game. I can't get some Danny Dimes love in the chat. Come on. Matthew likes Drake May. I think that's sharp. Colts run, Chargers pass. You would think so. You would think so. No downs in this game. Ball's probably going to go to JT, Warren, and Pittman. I like situations where I know exactly where the ball is going to go. You guys? Rashi Rice back. Who's going to be the guy after Rice, I think, is a question we got to answer too. If you're going to be stacking Mahomes up with Rice +1, who is it? Ball is going to Pierce. I will say this. Every time I play the Colts, it's like the weirdest wide receiver touchdowns of all time. So if I like the Colts, you should probably run the other direction. I do kind of like the Colts today. Xavier Worthy. I could see it. Catcher's on my side. Loves Danny Dimes today. Love me some Danny Dimes. There's a video on the internet of me talking about how good I think Danny Dimes is. I thought that one was going to age horribly, but it's actually making me look a little bit better recently. There's plenty of bad takes on the internet, myself included. A lot of Caleb Williams love as the number 1 quarterback. The number 1 quarterback today, Caleb Williams. What a world. Are we worried about that game at all? Rain's supposed to kind of clear up a little bit. Wind's still an issue. Sustained over over 15 miles per hour early, gusts around 30. I am kind of worried about that a little bit. Miami, Cleveland, obviously, but New Orleans and Chicago is the other game I'm probably the most worried about for wind. Wind and rain, not great. Rice definitely on a snap count. Possible. I mean, why though? He's not coming off an injury. I would be on the other side of that one. If anything, I'm worried that I have him ranked too low. People forget he was like a top 3 wide receiver last year before he got hurt. Love Dak today. Dak is another one. Getting CD back. That offense has already been humming without him. Knee injury, hasn't played. Fair. But I mean, he had plenty of time to get right from that knee injury. Leverage is Worthy. I agree with that. Worthy's going to have a little bit more volatility now, though, for sure, right? For sure. In terms of quarterbacks today, I'm like just staring at this Jaden Daniels price tag. I know that McLaurin's out. Like Debo's clearly like a heel injury for Debo is kind of scary. Zach Ertz as well, not playing at full speed. Um, yeah, I guess that is normally a big problem until you play Dallas. You know what I mean? Jaden Daniels hasn't really shown that he's not willing to run after that injury as well. So I mean, I really like Jaden Daniels. If you're a little bit squeamish on that, I could see just getting Mahomes in there, 7K. You got to pay up for him a little bit though, right, to get there. I wish there was like a slam dunk, like really cheap option. I guess Caleb Williams is that guy. If you're gonna go down, 5,800 is a great price for him. So I get where you guys are coming from. I get where you're coming from. I think I would prefer to get to Daniels or Mahomes though. Depending on Dak's ownership though, like I think he's probably gonna be similar to Mahomes and Daniels. Do you guys? I think it's probably similar. Both like all of those guys kind of hovering around like that 15 to 20% range. I think Drake May. I think he shapes up as like the leverage at quarterback. 6,300 for him. He's like a little bit expensive. Maybe like a Jalen Hurts. Did I put Jalen Hurts on this poll? Yeah, we got one vote for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts against Minnesota, I think, is interesting too. But I really like Saquon in that game. Is my problem. Really like Saquon. Let's keep these polls moving though. We'll talk more about quarterbacks as we get into stacks, all that good stuff. But I think this is a really interesting week at running back with this Quinshawn Judkins stuff. Best running back play. Price considered. Jonathan Taylor, Quinshawn Judkins, Javonte Williams, Brees Hall, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Kamani Vidal, Josh Jacobs, or other. Who do we like at running back? Is Javonte Williams a good pivot potentially? Saquon with Addison run back. Now you're talking my language, Derek. Now you're talking my language. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I've heard crazier stuff. Off the Dallas shock. Jordan Mason. Interesting. This is why I like having these conversations with you guys because no one's just like telling me to no one's telling me to just play the chalk in the chat. I like that. Joe, see you at the game. 2 hour drive from Duluth. Best of luck on the drive, my man. Safe travels. If you see me at the game, come say hi. Jordan Mason. A lot of Jordan Mason love. We got some Minnesota people in the chat, though. That could be why. Quinshawn Judkins getting the majority of the votes in the chat right now as the number one running back play at 6K. This Dolphins run defense, absolutely terrible. The Browns are actually favorites in this game, which I thought is crazy. That's how bad Miami has been. I think clearly the biggest, I guess, reference point we have here is it's Derrick Henry with a 16.5 point total. So you basically you have to get in the end zone at least once. If not, you're completely cooked, right? You're completely cooked. But if you get in the end zone twice, you're in good shape. He's probably going to get 25 carries, right? They're probably going to load the box because you're not going to be able to pass very well. So it's legitimately like Derrick Henry Tennessee vibes versus Derrick Henry Baltimore vibes, if you think back to that. So Derrick Henry was also a guy that could completely bury you if you didn't play him at times, right? But what was the lesson we always learned with Derrick Henry? You guys remember these days? You play Derrick Henry at sub 5% or sub 10%, you don't play a Derrick Henry chalk. That was the whole game. If you could just not play Derrick Henry chalk when he was in Tennessee, when he was like 25+% owned, you did great. He usually did not bury you when he was the chalk. When he buried you was when you, sorry, he did usually bury you when he was the chalk. And he usually was like one of those elite tournament plays that could like really just like speed up the efficiency in certain games. I love playing him on the other side of game stacks. These low total games though, like it makes me nervous. I'm just saying that. Like, it just makes me nervous. All the signals are saying that he's going to get like 25 touches on the ground. I get that. Miami stinks. I get that too. What if this game ends like 6-3? That's what I'm scared. That's what I'm scared about, right? His projected ownership is like 45%, my man. Like it's very high. It's very high. Browns win today. Tua snitching. What does Tua snitching mean? Jacobs is game time. Yeah, it looks like he's sick again. He's been sick for like a week. That's like a little bit concerning. Taylor's still decent price. We're playing CMC at 10K. Yeah, no one's really talking about CMC. Been fun being a Minnesota fan the last 30 years. Go Lynx. I'm with you. I grew up in Arizona. We had one championship ever in Arizona, Diamondbacks. Shout out Diamondbacks when I was like 12. Maybe it was a little older than that, 15, something like that. I am a fully converted Minnesota fan, so I feel your pain though. Leaning away from Judkins. I'm not saying Judkins. If you're playing cash games, I don't play cash games, but if you're playing cash games, he's in every lineup. And I think in tournaments, he's either in every lineup or none. And I don't play a lot of lineups in general, so it's hard. It's really hard. I get it. I think if we're talking about guys like in that price range, I think I like Brees Hall more, which is crazy. Braylon Allen's still not there, obviously. So it's like a total, like, I like this situation because he's number one. He's the total workhorse. He's getting usage in the passing game. This Jets offense looked absolutely terrible last week without Wilson. So if we don't have Garrett Wilson again, the matchup against Carolina is still pretty solid for the run game. I think Brees Hall has a chance to touch the ball just as much as Quinshon Judkins. So I really like that. He's going to be owned as well, but like Judkins is going to be like 50% in small field probably. You probably get 20 for Brees Hall. So I like it. I think Brees Hall, you can make an argument, is a better play. I think he's right there. If you're paying up, I think Jonathan Taylor is the guy. I agree. Like I said, I love the Colts today. Love the Colts. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Kamani Vidal, I think, is kind of interesting as well. If you're trying to go like a little bit cheaper, 5,500 for him. If this ownership holds at like 15%, I think that's really solid. Everyone kind of playing the passing side of that Chargers offense, which makes sense. But like Kamani Vidal, I thought was really interesting. Last week, 18 attempts, 4 targets. So being absolutely peppered. Again, that was against Miami. So I guess I'm making my point to play Judkins as well. But yeah, I think Kamani Vidal is like the clear pay down if you want to go below 6K. If you want to go below 6K. The only other guy I was like kind of looking at in tournaments was Isaiah Pacheco with that high total. And I think that his snap count's going up, his touch is going up a little bit. This Kansas City defense humming. I think Pacheco is a little bit interesting, but not in anything like small field probably. Gonna play cash. The ownership makes me want to fade Judkins. I think fading. I mean, I'm not a cash game person, but I would say fading Judkins in cash is really scary. Yeah, yeah. That calf thing came up late with Jacobs. Yeah, he's in a couple of my videos in the prop streets this week, and that calf came up like after the video was even posted. JCM is very interesting. Yeah, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, obviously a really strong matchup against Dallas. There's like a million different reasons why you should like him this week. So he's in a bunch of my videos as well. So a couple of the things that I really liked about this one, he's in my anytime touchdown video. I think he's in both my touchdown videos. But I think if you're going to go ahead, no one allows a higher percentage of runs that result in either a first down or a touchdown than Dallas. They just got absolutely killed by Rico Dowdle, Brees Hall, Josh Jacobs. So why not Bill? Why not Bill? Yeah, really like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And if this ownership holds, that's actually pretty reasonable as well. 20% at 6,100. Like there's just so many. I mean, I would say running back has been stronger in other weeks, but that mid range is still pretty solid, right? The London game, I forget, is the game in London? Will someone let me know if Devontae Adams scores the first touchdown? That'd be great. Your TD videos won me $390 on a $15 bet. Let's go. Yeah, we swept the TD video, one of them last week. Love to hear it, man. JCM longest rush is the move. That's solid. I love those. The longest. I'm a sucker for longest catch, longest rush. Those are so fun to sweat. I missed one last week by 1 yard. I can't remember. It was one of the Thursday night games or one of the primetime games. It might have been Xavier Worthy. Did the Chiefs play in primetime last week? He missed it by like 1 yard. So the lines are too sharp. Jeremy McNichols pivot off of Bill? I don't think so. No. Yeah, with Washington so banged up, that seems like a really decent pivot to me. When does this London game start? Now I'm curious. 8:30 my time. Oh, right now. Perfect. Flood the chats with W's if Devontae Adams scores the first touchdown, because I think I put that in a video this week. Another guy that I haven't heard many people talking about that I actually really like to score is Ramondre Stevenson. Am I crazy with that one? Have I gone completely off the rails? Ramondre Stevenson, like, he still continues to get touches regardless of fumbling. There's really been no reason to think that he's not going to continue to see like 50, 60% of these touches. It's an amazing matchup. I don't know. I think that one's kind of interesting too, as like a lower owned pivot. I thought that like maybe that's becoming like a more popular play than I thought though. Like Travion at 5,100, no one's gonna play him. 5,200 for, I mean, I was hoping you get like single digits on him, but it seems like 10, 12% for him at Tennessee. I think there's a chance that New England runs this one up. I have I guess one of my hot touchdown takes is Ramondre Stevenson 2 TDs today. That is in a video. I put real American dollars behind that. He does have a multi-touchdown game this year already. Before you jump all over me, Pacheco I think is interesting for as a pivot. Alexander, yeah. Stevenson TD in a parlay. Let's go. We got to keep the anytime touchdown streaks going. They've been hot. All right, let's keep these polls moving. I agree with you guys. Like running back, I think if you want to go the Judkins route, I think it's fine. I'm just saying that there's ways it can go wrong. Wide receiver, top elite wide receiver play today. These are the top priced wide receivers: Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Rome Odunze. If you had to play one of these guys today, who is it? If you had to play one. Cam Ward. Yeah, maybe just played the defense. Patriots defense today. Speaking of defenses, with everyone all over this Chief stuff, maybe we just play KCD. Kansas City defense. I was looking at them a little bit on FanDuel earlier. KC defense. Kind of interesting. Sub 10%. If they end up stealing all the touchdowns and like your non-Mahomes teams, your non-Rashee Rice teams, I kind of like it. Maybe I'm crazy. Good against the run. Fair. Yeah. Top elite wide receiver play today. CeeDee Lamb is getting all the run for you guys. CeeDee Lamb in his return. Yeah, this matchup is extremely strong for CeeDee Lamb. Extremely strong. Like basically, this is the one spot. Like Washington in general, like their defense isn't terrible, but they have been destroyed by slot wide receivers this year. Absolutely destroyed. So while I think Pickens is still a really good bet for potentially like a touchdown, something like that, kind of like what he has been doing. And now, obviously, with CD hopefully taking over a little bit more of the attention, maybe we see Pickens end up, I guess, with more room than he has the last few weeks. That's a positive thing for sure. I would just say the matchup and those dynamics would lead me to CD Lamb just going absolutely crazy today. Yeah. So not worried about the injury. I don't think many people will be. Like CD, like at wide receiver, ownership wise, I think the only guy that's going to be owned more than CD today is going to be Rashee Rice. Yeah. CD, Pickens, both of those guys are going to be pretty heavily owned. I think if you need like a cheap wide receiver in that game, Jalen Lane seems like the guy. Maybe Chris Moore, like both of those guys are like super cheap, right? So you basically pick your poison with either of those guys. They're not going to give you like a ton of ceiling, but they do open up your roster a little bit. They open up your roster quite a bit, actually. The problem is there isn't like a ton to pay up for. Like things are a little bit tighter on FanDuel than DraftKings today, I think. But Jalen Lane, 3,800. Pretty nice. Chris Moore, 3K. Also pretty nice. I think Moore is going to be the one that's the most owned of that group. So maybe just play Luke McCaffrey. My allergies are still bothering me. It's always in the morning. I was feeling like totally fine last night. I go to bed, wake up, and I just like literally can't see I want to sneeze constantly. Luke McCaffrey, he's kind of like he's got a little bit of big play upside, right? Let's get to the more important wide receiver pool. I agree with CeeDee Lamb of that group. That's the one that I would be playing too if I could choose one. Top non-elite wide receiver play today. Price considered. Chris Olave, Rashee Rice, Chris Moore. Actually, hang on. I'm removing Rashee Rice from this poll. then it's I think we can agree that the top non-elite wide receiver play is Rashee Rice today. He's an absolute smash. Top non-elite wide receiver play without Rashee Rice. Chris Olave, Chris Moore, Michael Pittman, Quentin Johnston, AJ Brown. That price tag is insane if you guys haven't seen it. Cortland Sutton or other. What do you guys think about top non-elite wide receiver today? As you're voting, I'm going to go blow my nose like a loser, but I'm sorry. I don't want to be sniffling through this microphone. I thought this would be the day I would make it through without blowing my nose. Pittman's price makes a lot work. I like Pittman a lot. I mentioned it. Like I think that things are so condensed for the Colts today. It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Wider, I guess running back. We didn't talk a lot about leverage yet. I think someone mentioned Achan. I think that's interesting. He's obviously really expensive. We were talking a little about Ramondre. I think both New England backs offer some leverage. If you think Travion is eventually going to break out, great. Jordan Mason, somewhat interesting, sub 10%. Still going to get a lot of work. If you think you have a crystal ball and who's going to get the touches between Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, I don't think people are going to play either of those guys. Saquon Barkley at 7,700. I was hoping we get him around like 10%. Looks like he might creep up to like that 15 to 20% range, but I'll believe that when I see it. Decent leverage there. Wide receiver, a little trickier though. I don't like a lot of the leverage today at wide receiver. Like if I was to pick one, it would probably be like a Michael Pittman because that price of 5,100 in that game is really nice and you can get him at like 5%. So I do like Michael Pittman a lot. Top non-elite, what a lot of people want to go to Cortland Sutton today. That was kind of a surprise to me. I get it. 5,900 for him against the Giants. I was kind of avoiding that game a little bit. We didn't talk a lot about game environment yet, but the games that I'm kind of circling like everyone else for pace: Washington, Dallas, Saints, Bears. A little bit of weather stuff to worry about though with Saints, Bears. A little bit of wind, a little bit of rain. Also, the slower paced ones, Denver and the Giants was the one that I circled for being the one that's a little bit concerning for points and plays. Also, this Jets and Panthers game, I'm not super bullish on that one either. Offensive line versus defensive line stuff. I am a little bit concerned about Dart today, just because this Broncos D line has been elite, and the offensive line for the Giants is still not good. And then I guess what could ruin some of the Quinshon Judkins stuff is like, what if the Browns defense just goes crazy today? That's possible too. But if they're not going to be passing as much with the wind, like the crazy wind, like 35 mile per hour plus, that's also not good for defenses either. So Browns D, I thought was somewhat interesting. I mentioned Chiefs D against this Raiders team. I think that's like one of my favorites, but they're pretty expensive. They're the number one priced on DraftKings. I think they're like the fourth highest priced on FanDuel. So you got to pay up for it, but I don't think a lot of people are going to go that direction. Gives you nice leverage. Packers D against Carolina, or against the Cardinals, I should say. Also like that one a lot. Packers D line, still pretty good. Cardinals offensive line, still pretty not good. These bots are following and then still dropping crap in my chat. That's so tilting. Don't click on any of those links ever, friends. I don't think they can drop links, but never deal with that crap. It's raining in this London game. Is it gross? Has anyone scored? Devontae Adams' first touchdown, for the love of God. The bots are really at it this morning. Yes, they are. No score yet. Sweet. Okay. Love Cortland today. I also think Bo is due. Yeah, I think that's fair. Patriots D versus Tennessee. I mean, yeah, just keep playing the defense versus Cam Ward every week. Cortland Sutton getting some love in the chat, though. That's interesting. I like the Cortland Sutton play. I think it's fine. I think he's in actually one of my videos this week as well, my early week video. Solid matchup, all of those things. I think that, like, as the top non-elite wide receiver play, I think I like some of these other guys a little bit better. So it sounds like I like Chris Olave more than you guys. 2 points for Chris Olave, or 2%, 2 votes for Chris Olave. The target share is insane. I know we haven't gotten like any efficiency yet from it, but like double-digit targets per game. If we do get some efficiency, like we saw a little bit last week, like broke a big play finally. I think that this Bears defense is absolutely beatable, right? So I think he gets too cheap because he hasn't been scoring as many touchdowns. But I think they're going to keep throwing. 5,400. Chris Olave was the one that I had circled as like one of the top like price plays today, and he's still like kind of a little bit of a buy low to me. How do I like DJ Moore today? I keep blocking these. How do you like DJ Moore today? I'm not on DJ Moore today. It's not even like the injury. It's just I'm just a little bit nervous that they start to get Luther Burden more involved. I'm spending more time blocking than talking right now. It's absolutely pathetic. Yeah, I think Luther Burden gets more involved. I also like him a little bit nervous that they're trying to like phase DJ Moore out a little bit. As tough as that is, we talked about some of the things I got right in season long. DJ Moore was one of the ones I got absolutely wrong so far. Odunze is that dude. Pick of the week going off. Who's the pick of the week? Velveeta Cheetah. Shaheed cheap option to pair with Odunze. Yeah, I don't mind the Shaheed stuff. I think Shaheed versus Olave in tournaments is interesting just because Olave is going to be owned, right? So if you're trying to get like an elite piece of that game, sure, I think that makes some sense. I think that makes plenty of sense. Like if Olave ends up being like 25% owned in small field, like I think he might be. Sure, Shaheed on the other side of those stacks makes tons of sense. Otten. Kamara finally breaks out today. I'm also worried about Kamara. I'm also worried about Kamara. Like those touches are like split down the middle. Again, something else I didn't get right is I did not think that they would be getting like I didn't think there'd be near as much of a split backfield there as there has been. Like the amount of work that Kendre Miller has gotten, basically 50-50. Saquon is a smash today. I agree. I love Saquon today. Yeah, this I mean, I guess I've just seen it in person. I watched Bijan go completely crazy against the Vikings earlier this year. Obviously that run game is pretty elite. I think there's a chance though that I mean, Philly's not been winning games. So like what did they do last year? Better than anyone. They just ran the football. With Minnesota like being such like a blitz heavy team as well, like one of the best ways to combat that is to run the ball well. And I actually think there's a chance that Saquon gets a little bit more active in the passing game today as well, the receiving game. So at 7,700 at like 15% ownership max, I was hoping we'd get him at like single digits, but he seems like one of the better leverage options to me today. We don't need to talk about Rasheed Rice, but at 5,600, he should be in like almost all of your teams, I think, today. I guess you could make an argument against him in tournaments. I'm not playing Mahomes without him. This suspension, like, I mean, he's just far too cheap for what he's going to be seeing in this receiving game. I think he's going to take over an alpha target share immediately. Mentioned before, traded for him in my most important league this past week and feel pretty good about it. All right, let's keep this thing moving because we want to build some teams here. That's the fun part. What do we think about tight end today? Tight end seems like somewhat wide open to me. Tyler Warren, Zach Ertz, Michael Mayer, Mason Taylor, Trey McBride, Harold Fannin Jr., Jake Ferguson, or other. What do you guys like at tight end today? Seems like kind of wide open to me. And I think tight end usually like we have some pretty good thoughts. What do we want at tight end? We want high team totals. We want the opportunity to score touchdowns typically, right? Because all of these guys, like, they're basically worthless to us unless they get in the end zone. Do we have any Zach Ertz news? I know he's expected to play. 33 minutes ago, this is what I was waiting for. Rappaport. Ertz was given a light workload in practice per usual this week. He was listed questionable after being downgraded from a full practice on Thursday to limited on Friday, though he never seemed at risk of missing week 7. Still a good sign that the team expects him to play early in the day. Terry McLaurin out. Debo Samuel out. Or Debo Samuel. Yeah, is Debo out? Wait, did I miss that? I thought Debo was in. He just was like going to be severely limited. Am I crazy? Oh, yeah. So that's why all of these cheap wide receivers are popping everywhere. Downgraded to out 19 hours ago. Okay, fair enough. I thought he was going to be just severely limited. Good to know. That is why all of these wide receivers are popping. Makes sense. In that case, yes, Zach Ertz is on the poll. And it looks like he's going to be okay. So what do we want at tight end? We want high team totals because we need touchdowns, all of those things. Ideally, high target shares, all of that good stuff. Zach Ertz, 3,800 today. Michael Mayer, also like in that price range, 3,500 for him. Somewhat interesting, running a ton of snaps. 30% target share last week. So when Geno's in trouble, he's looking for Mayer. This Brock Bowers absence obviously opens up a large target share there, and Jacoby Myers hasn't done anything with it so far. Winfield TD. No. Is that right? I think I got to stop putting that in videos. I think it's so fun to like actually sweat the first touchdown. But that sucks. That's a bummer. Brutal. Random TD. I still think he gets in. I got a couple of those same slips without first touchdown too, so we're not completely dead. Random TD. You hate it. You guys are spread out on tight end right now, right? Any Trey McBride love? We paying up for Trey McBride? Only one vote in the chat. No one's getting more targets than him at tight end. I actually think Jacoby Brissett, kind of interesting as well, as like a positive thing for Trey McBride. TD that helps no one. Yeah. Jalen Warren, or Tyler Warren, I should say. Still think that he's probably, if you're talking about like just pure ceiling, it's McBride and Warren, I think. And then it's like a pretty massive tier gap. Jake Ferguson, I think, is the one that was hurt the most with CD coming back. So I think he's just like way too expensive at 5,500. But a lot of people are probably thinking that. So maybe in tournaments that makes sense if you're trying to get different with your Dallas, Washington stuff. Zach Ertz at 3,800 seems severely underpriced. I think I like Ertz more than any of those cheap wide receivers if I can help it. Too much upside for Ertz today. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing to wrap your head around, but I think I agree. All right, so the most important poll of the entire day is always this one. Favorite game stack. If there's one game that we're stacking today, Washington, Dallas, I have the totals here as well. 54-point total. Washington at Dallas, Indy at LAC, Saints at Bears, Raiders at Chiefs, Packers at Cardinals, Eagles at Vikings, Patriots at Titans, and then we do have Carolina in the New York Jets. What do we think? We're going to stack up one game today. This is going to be the roster we build together with real American dollars. What do we want? Devontae wasn't even in the game for the 3 goal line plays. That's not fun. That's not fun. No one likes that. Are we going to try and build a Washington Dallas team that's like a little bit different? Can we do that? That's my request. If we are going to go that game. Trying to confuse Jacksonville? Possible. Make sure you put the exclamation point before vote, or your vote will not count. Dallas better game to dome. Yeah, the dome is nice. Yeah, in my opinion, who's going to start, Dowdle or Hubbard? I think the start is not who's going to get more touches. I still think Rico Dowdle. Like I think that regardless of what you think about this Chuba Hubbard stuff, like they paid him, I get it. I can't just ignore what Rico Dowdle did personally. I think they would be crazy to go back to like a 50-50 split. Crazy. So yeah, if I had to pick one, it's still Rico Dowdle. We played him last week on our team, which was great. I think we played him the last 2 weeks. So we've enjoyed the Rico Dowdle explosion. But yeah, I think Rico. Yeah. Split, but one word, Otten. I'll remember you said that, Cameron. When Otten gets in the end zone, I'll remember you said that. I have a Mike Evans touchdown today on one of the videos. Okay, I think pretty clearly we're going to go with this 54-point total. Fair. I think that's fair. So then the question becomes, who do we play at quarterback? And we'll find a way to make this unique. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. So do we get Jaden in there or do we get Dak in there? That's the question. So who is our quarterback today? Who is our quarterback today? Dak Prescott, Jaden Daniels. Who do we want? The most important poll of the entire day. Who do we want? We're fading Mahomes. Place your vote in the chat. This is going to be a big one for us here. But just so you guys know, if you're making picks today, it should be on Prize Picks. Play $5, get $50 instantly. I still love that deal in general. Basically, start your bankroll immediately with $5. I love that deal. So on Prize Picks, use code HOLKALIVE so know that you came from the live stream. Get that $50 instantly. A lot of takes in the chat. If you have strong takes on a specific player, I still think player props is the best way to do it. Why do you think I'm making so many player props videos throughout the week? I think it's like one of the most fun ways to sweat sports. That rushing upside is going to be needed today. I agree. Jaden Daniels getting some love in the chat. We're going to have to figure out what to play with him. Don't hate it. I don't hate it. Let's get to at least 30 votes. We got 200 people in here. Appreciate you guys being with us. We do the same thing every single Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. We go position by position and we build some DraftKings lineups together at the end, run some polls, get you guys involved, all that good stuff. Hit subscribe. Hope to see you guys next week. Ertz for sure. We could get Ertz in there. This is like close enough though. Like we got 200 people in here. This is close enough. I think we still need to decide on quarterback. Dak or Jaden, both of them relatively popular. Both have pretty easy stacking partners. We have easy stuff on each side of this game to go after. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here with quarterback. Chris Moore at 3K. Yeah, he makes some sense. Yeah, I'm with you. So, for a little bit of context, I'm going to give you guys one thing here. I'm going to make one stand here. I don't want to play Quinshon Judkins. I'm sorry. I just don't want to play him. I think there's a chance this game ends up being so low scoring that if you don't get the double touchdown banger from Quinshon Judkins, you might end up with like 100 yards and a touchdown, maybe, right? So that's not going to be like a slate breaking player, in my opinion. I think he's a great play in cash games. I think he makes a really nice tournament fade. We talked about it earlier. Basically, to me, this is Derrick Henry chalk week when he was a Titan. And the Derrick Henry chalk week, I have so many scars from those weeks, just jamming him into lineups and not thinking about it. These weather games where he's supposed to get 25 carries, I get it. I just think this game might be really gross in general. And I don't necessarily just want to be along for the ride at 35%, 40% in tournaments. So this lineup will not have Quinshon Judkins on it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. If that buries us, I can live with it. All right. We got Jaden. Jaden's going to be our QB. So who we pairing with Jaden? I like the Ertz stuff, so Ertz is going in. I guess quick recap for anyone that's just popping in here. At quarterback, I was pretty aggressively on just like two guys today. Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes. I think those are still the best ones by far. I think you could have made an argument for Dak just to get into this game. I also think I like Danny Dimes more than most people at quarterback. Running back, again, I think everyone's number one play is probably going to be Quinshon Judkins. I think he makes a reasonable fade in tournaments. I prefer, I think, like combination of role, ceiling, ownership. I like Breece Hall. I like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I love Jonathan Taylor if you can make those teams work today. I also really like Saquon as huge leverage. Wide receiver, I think it's like Rashee Rice on every team for the most part. So I'm going to stand by that here. I think Rashee Rice is probably going to be one of the highest owned, if not the highest owned player today. But at 5,600, he's one of those guys that I think we should still try and build around personally. CeeDee Lamb, love him, obviously. So I would love to make CD work on this team. Chris Olave, I think, is like one of those high volume guys that's too cheap as well, similar to Rashee Rice. I don't think he has to be on this team. But if you're playing kind of those game stacks, I think that Shahid Olave on the other side of the Rome Caleb stuff makes some sense. Caleb does seem like the pay down quarterback to me. Tight end, I think Zach Ertz with Debo out, which I missed initially, but like 15 hours ago that was dropped. So Zertz, I think Ertz is the number one tight end play today. And getting into this high total game is a priority, right? Defense, I think it's probably like if you wanted to pay up for Cleveland at 3K, that's really solid. Like if you're trying to back into that game a little bit, I like that. Denver, I think, is really solid against the Giants as well. Patriots defense at 3,400. If you want to go all the way up there, I think there's a chance they could absolutely boat race Tennessee today. So I think that's kind of interesting. I think on non-Mahomes teams, KC defense, it's just so expensive. It's just so expensive, right? So I think if I'm just looking at like the best of both worlds here, I have a hard time playing Cleveland defense without Judkins, though. That's the problem, I guess. What do you guys think at defense? Just like a placeholder defense for us today. Like highest ceiling, I think, is probably Denver. Do we just play Dolphins defense on the other side? Is that crazy? How cheap are they? Miami defense is 2,700. Wish they were a little bit cheaper. The bots are relentless today. Every time I look at the chat, I've got to freaking block 2 more of these things. Who should I start for my fantasy, Goff or Williams? Goff or Williams? Goff, I think, for me, my man. Panthers D, interesting. Broncos, Chicago D. Interesting. Miami at 2,700 kind of stands out a little bit to me, especially if we're not playing Judkins. Like, how does this get away from them a little bit? It's kind of interesting. Patriots, Panthers. Panthers is cheap too. Panthers at 2,500 against the Jets is interesting. Broncos, I think, is the biggest like mismatch line of scrimmage option. Let's throw Broncos in there as a placeholder. Because I don't think we're going to have any of that game. So we don't have a ton of salary to work with here. But I mean, I guess we have plenty of salary to work with, but we're paying up at defense, which I don't love doing, but I think it is a great spot for Denver in general. So what do we want to do next year? What else do we want to put with Jaden? Do we want to add another option here? What do you guys think? What are you guys thinking? A few weeks ago, you mentioned something about Bengals cheerleaders. Yeah, my wife was hanging out with a few of them. Did like the dinner thing. They came with like a bunch of their husbands. Like we went to the game. It was fun. Good people. Panthers D too cheap. Yeah, I keep going back to Panthers a little bit too. Let's leave that out. If we want to go there, we can eventually. The Krosky Merritt stuff, I think, is interesting on this team in particular too. Like, do we feel good enough about his pass game role to get some Bill on here? Like, is that the guy we go to and just fade these? We have to figure out a way to get different in this game, guys. Like, we can't just play. I mean, he hasn't been used that much in the passing game. Is the problem. Like in this game, massive ownership on CD, Javante, Bill, I guess, probably third, something like that. Zach Ertz, I think that will creep up as well. The leverage feels like if we wanted to get in like George Pickens, Pickens feels like the leverage option here. What do you guys think? Javante's still going to be owned. Bill's still going to be owned. These cheaper wide receivers, pick your poison. I think if I had to pick one, it's probably Chris Moore, right? At 3K, just play the cheapest one. 5 targets last week, scores. I don't like JCM today. He's a little too expensive. Yeah, the price could be better. By the way, turn 25 into 350. Let's go. Touchdown? Touchdown lay? That's awesome, man. Congrats. Daniels, JCM, Ertz, concentrated volume. Yeah, if we're just trying to grab touchdowns, I don't mind it. I'm trying to think what we need on the other side. Like, we could just play CD and Pickens together on the other side. Do something like this. And really try and make running back work the rest of the way. We probably do need to get in one of these cheap guys then, though, right? Luke McCaffrey at 4,100. Who has the highest ceiling of like these really cheap wide receivers? That is the question I think that I have to answer here. Like highest ceiling of like these like super cheap Washington guys. What do you guys think? McCaffrey? I could probably get behind that. Like all these wide receivers are so jammed close together though. Like to me, like it just makes me want to play none of them. It makes me want to play none of them. Like all of them are like basically projecting the exact same. Moore play those most. McCaffrey, Devontae TD. Let's go, Devontae TD. Wish it was first TD, but we'll take it. You knew he was gonna score today. Come on. You knew he was gonna score. I'm struggling a little bit here. So I think we still like ideally we need some salary relief here. So I would like to pick one of these guys. I just hate all of them. They feel like dart throws. I agree. They feel like dart throws. If we're gonna get Pickens and CD in, it definitely limits what we can do for sure. But it feels like that's the best way to capture the other side of this game. Might not be able to do it though. So let's talk about running back. Like who of these running backs we want to get in then? If we're not playing Judkins, I mentioned Ramondre Stevenson. How do you guys feel about Ramondre as like a way to get a little bit different? You guys think I'm off my rocker with that one? Taylor from Jets at tight end. JT. I don't think we can fit JT. Why not Dak at quarterback? Because we voted. You guys voted for Jaden. No Ramondre. Um, we could just try and capture all the touchdowns for Dallas and still play Javonte on this team if we wanted to. We'd have to go really cheap the rest of the way. Brees Hall, Ramondre, somewhat interesting. Like if we're willing to play one of these cheap Commanders guys, we can basically get in whatever we want in terms of like running back. We get Brees Hall in there. Like these mid-range guys fit basically. And if you don't like Stevenson, you could play Pacheco, something like that. Could do that. I'm trying to figure out a way to not play one of these other Washington guys, but I think we might have to. I think we might have to. Moore may get JT in. Maybe. Yeah, I think we let's see. If we so is Moore is like the guy that like is probably the best value of these. Like he's going to be playing the most, right? Is that what I heard? He's 3K, right? He's going to be playing the most. Didn't we say that? Yeah, Moore's going to probably be playing the most. He scored last week. So let's just like see what it does to our roster. We need to figure out a way though to get different at running back here. So we need a piece here that's lower. So Stevenson sub 10, Pacheco I think is interesting. Try and grab like so we're not getting actually you just think I'm crazy? I actually think Pacheco and Rice together makes a lot of sense. Just hope to capture some of the touchdowns in that game. And he's 5K, and that gives us a unique piece in that game. We need to have some sort of unique piece in that. So like we already have I think we still probably need another like lower owned option because like even just looking at this roster right now, Pacheco is low. I guess you could say that like Pacheco's the one that like stands out to me as the lower side. If we wanted to play like a Luke McCaffrey, what do you guys think about this? I mentioned I like Brees a lot. He's not low owned or anything like that, but playing more at the Moore's going to have the most ownership, right, of this group. So I think that's the pivot we have to make. If we're not in love, right? If we play Brees, it does get us Luke McCaffrey. What do you guys think about that pivot? So then we get Pacheco and Brees. Brees is going to be owned. We get McCaffrey in there at 4,100. We could go really gross at running back and just go Pacheco and Stevenson as well. But this is like a pretty easy pivot that we make. We basically just swap out a different wide receiver, the lowest owned one of the group, right? Moore's going to be super chalky. Jalen Lane, probably the second most. So we just play the lowest owned of these wide receivers that are all basically projected for like 9 fucking points. Like Mason better. Jordan Mason more than Brees Hall. So let's see what we have in this slot. 6,300. Brees Hall, Jordan Mason. We could just play Bill as well. So like of that group, who provides the most leverage? Probably Jordan Mason. Yeah. That feels kind of gross. Am I like? But maybe that's the point. We probably need more differentiation. Just playing Luke McCaffrey is not enough. Pacheco, I think, is solid. Pacheco and Rice together, I think, is pretty sharp. We probably still need more leverage here. Yeah. Like Jordan Mason is going to be basically unowned, right? He's a little too expensive. We could fit in. I mean, JCM just staring at me though. That'd be a pretty unique build. Daniels, Ertz, McCaffrey, JCM on the same team, and then CD and Pickens on the other side. That to me makes the most sense. Like if we're just looking purely at ceiling, it has to be JCM, right? I think I like Bill a little bit more than you guys, it seems like. You guys don't like Bill? Bill's fun. You guys realize we could just like print money all year just by playing everyone against Dallas, right? I like me some Bill. Um, I think the ceiling is better for sure. I still think it's unique enough because we're overstacking that game by a lot, right? Daniels, JCM, Ertz, and McCaffrey together, CeeDee Lamb and Pickens on the other side. We're playing full blown shootout, which is pretty chalky, but then we get in Pacheco as well. We're playing the lower owned McCaffrey. So that combination of Dallas and Washington, I think, is somewhat unique. The game is going crazy. If you're playing Lamb and Pickens, you have to play Bill. Yeah, I think so. We're basically just playing for this game to go completely crazy, which I think is probably the right approach, right? A 54-point total. It's the highest total of the year, right? By a lot. So then you're hoping that McCaffrey scores essentially, and these other wide receivers, like hoping that he separates a little bit from the other cheap wide receivers. Ertz, I think, is still very solid for this game environment. We're hoping all the touchdowns are captured with Pacheco and Rice together. And then we're hoping that Broncos D, which is the best D line versus O line matchup in the entire week, we're hoping that's the move. So I think this is kind of where we're at. I think the problem with this team overall, I wish we were going to get a little bit more. Actually, you know what? We're getting our Chiefs information though. So we'll know right away if Pacheco and Rice fail. And if that is the case, we would probably be needing to pivot away from this Washington. Let's play this out. I like doing a late swap team with you guys as well. So let's do this. Let me bring that up quickly. So if we were to, let's go back in. If we were to say, so the beginning, all we have Broncos information too, right? No, Broncos is at 4. So the only information that we have is Rashee Rice and Pacheco. So let's start from that. And we're going to play this scenario like it fails, essentially. Like Pacheco gets 5, Rashee Rice is just fine, right? So what is the most leverage that we have at 4 p.m. to build around at that point is what we have to think through here. So to me, in the afternoon games, I think the leverage is probably going to be, well, to me, I think we need to pick like the one player in Dallas, Washington that gives us the most leverage. And it's probably going to be Jake Ferguson because he's overpriced. I'm not married to this, but he's going to be completely unowned. If we need CD and Pickens to fail, which we do on this team, right? Like we have to give ourselves a chance to move up the leaderboard if we have 2 complete failures with Rice and Pacheco early, right? So I like that. In terms of like what defense provides us with the most leverage, I basically think we have to decide what we want to do with our quarterback. To me, I think this is a Daniel Jones team. I mentioned I really like Daniel Jones. And I think that this Colts side would be the one that I would prefer to go after. So you can get Colts and Pittman. Get Colts and Pittman. You can get Pittman together. Maybe this is a team where we get Warren in there. Let's go see what happens if we stack up Colts here. Pittman, Warren. I think you want to move like full blown into like Indy blow up scenario. So Jones, Taylor, Warren, Pittman. Capture all the touchdowns is very condensed. I've built similar teams like this on FanDuel today, and I really like the direction that it leads you if you're not betting on one of these big games going off, right? So I think from that standpoint, you either want to go, like, how does this go wrong in Dallas, Washington, right? It's probably that there's some defensive touchdowns scored. So to me, that just means playing the cheapest one. So I think we probably just want to play Cowboys here and just hope that Dallas scores some defensive touchdowns, some crazy things happen, right? If we're fading that game completely. And we kind of need things to go really weird in the afternoon slate for this pivot team to work out, right? So we had a wide receiver slot and a flex spot left. Some of the other leverage spots, we probably can't fit Ashton Genty, so that's out. We could probably get in like a Josh Jacobs team if we wanted to. No one's going to play Josh Jacobs, so I think that's interesting. At wide receiver, we could lean into a couple of these Vegas guys. You could play like a Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers. No one's going to play those guys. Pittman, like I said, I think is a really nice leverage option. We probably need one piece on the other side, though. I think it's Quentin Johnston for me, 5,900 for him. And then does that get us Vidal? It does. We could play just Vidal on the other side, too. What do you guys think about that? 5,900. I'm just looking at who we have here. I still like the A.J. Brown stuff at that price. That's interesting. What is his ownership going to be? A.J. Brown. Probably going to be... Yeah, like he doesn't offer a lot of leverage for us, though. I'll say that. So I think we probably would want to get in Vidal here, right? I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything else that would make more sense. DeAndre Swift. Oh, we can't play Swift because that's the 1 p.m. game. I think it's probably Kamani Vidal. I mean, I know he's not going to be like unowned, but just capturing more of that game, I think makes the most sense. So here's our pivot. So basically, all we would have in the information is that Pacheco and Ray Rice have failed, right? So we can't really touch Dallas or Washington at all, in my opinion. And we have to go really different the rest of the way. So I think the best path for that is Indy and that side of this Chargers game. Actually, what's Keenan's price? Keenan's interesting. So okay, that's like the decision point. Keenan versus Vidal. What do you guys think about that? Keenan versus Vidal. So that might be like you're giving up some projection, but you're getting half the ownership. Let's go Keenan on the other side. Keenan and Quentin Johnston together. Just playing that game to go completely nuts. I think that gives us a little bit more differentiation for sure. Keenan and Quentin Johnston have already had pretty strong correlation this year. So I think this is if everything goes wrong, this is the direction I would go. So Dallas gets a couple defensive touchdowns. And then we just have Indy going crazy with all of their very condensed high skill position players. And then we get Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen on the other side. LA just throwing the ball a ton, which they've been willing to do. I think this is fair. You could put Vidal in there if you really wanted to, but I think this would be the best pivot option of what we talked about today. So I hope that makes sense. Appreciate you guys being with us. This was really fun. No start sit show today. I'm just going to stick with the DraftKings on Sunday for now because it's where I have the most fun and where I think I can provide you guys the most value. So appreciate you being here every Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And we'll see you next week. Peace.